Hi, welcome to WakeTV. I'm your host, Taylor Shaw. It's summer and there's a lot of things in store, so stay tuned. We all know how important recycling is to protecting the environment, but are you doing it correctly? Join us as we walk through how to recycle correctly in Wake County.
I already know can be one of the most dangerous word combinations. When we assume to know something, including how to recycle, we limit our understanding. People who have recycled for years believe they already know what they are doing, but oftentimes they are doing it wrong. If you're going to waste anything, don't waste the opportunity to learn. When people put the wrong things in the bin, it can hurt the people and machines at the sorting center. It can also be expensive to pull out things that don't belong and send them to the landfill. There are many paper, plastic, metal, and glass products that can be recycled, but not everything with the little triangle with a number on it can be recycled in Wake County. While municipal curbside recycling programs may have different rules, the goal of this video is to help you understand what and how to recycle at Wake County solid waste facilities. We all want to do the right thing and recycle, but in order to do the right thing, we must ensure we are recycling the correct things. Let's talk about what can be recycled in Wake County solid waste facilities and common pitfalls that can turn recyclables into garbage.
Paper is a resource that can be recycled and composted. You can recycle newspaper, magazines, junk mail, envelopes, office paper, post-it notes, paperback books, and even phone books. When recycling, keep paper clean and dry. Staples and plastic windows from envelopes can stay, but paper clips, plastic bags, and plastic wrapping need to be removed. There are some paper products that should not be recycled. Keep out shredded paper, receipts, paper napkins and paper towels, hardback books, photographs, paper cups and paper plates, and anything covered in food or dirt.
When trying to figure out if your plastic is recyclable, pay attention to the shape, not the icons printed on the bottom. Unfortunately, most plastic items are not recyclable. Not all plastics are created equal. Only plastics shaped like bottles, tubs, jugs, and jars should be recycled in the mixed recycling containers. The number on the plastic does not matter for recycling in our facilities. Be sure to empty the container and rinse off food residue before putting it in the bin. Most plastics need to be thrown away, including pumps, bottles containing harmful chemicals, coat hangers, cups, flat lids, bags, wraps, pillows, straws, clamshell to-go boxes, styrofoam, produce boxes, and bakery boxes.
All aluminum and steel cans can be recycled. Specifically, aluminum and steel food, pet food, and drink cans are fine in your mixed recycling bin. Items such as ladders, bed frames, and scrap metals can be brought to our scrap metal containers at our convenience centers. Aerosol cans can be taken to household hazardous waste facilities for processing. Rinse off any food or dirt and place lids inside the cans for the safety of recycling facility staff.
Ultimately, reduction of waste and reuse of materials is better for the environment than recycling, but proper recycling is important. You can recycle glass bottles and jars after you rinse away dirt and food residue, but always throw away broken containers, glassware, Pyrex, mirrors, windows, and light bulbs.
We ask people to clean and flatten cardboard boxes before bringing them to our facilities. Make sure to remove any packaging before bringing boxes to the cardboard recycling areas at convenience centers and multi-material recycling facilities.
Inappropriate recycling, or wish cycling, is dangerous and costly. A good rule of thumb is, when in doubt, throw it out. Let's go over the list of common wish-cycled items again. And remember, don't try to recycle these items in Wake County. Broken containers, glassware, Pyrex, mirrors, windows, light bulbs, coat hangers, aerosol cans, pumps, bottles containing automotive fluids or chemicals, cups, flat lids, bags, wraps, pillows, straws, shredded paper, receipts, paper napkins, paper towels, hardback books, photographs, paper cups, and paper plates. Additionally, items that would be recyclable but are dirty or covered with chemicals or food waste should also be sent to the landfill. Please observe the signs at the convenience centers or ask the site attendant when in doubt. It's always good to know before you throw.
Amy and I have been together for some time, married since 2016, and we got to a point where we were interested in expanding our family. And so once we got into fostering and had our first placement, for sure taught us a lot. It definitely humbled us, but we learned a lot of very important lessons.
Each kid that we've had here has taught us something. It's rewarding just to see the developmental, needs and milestones that are happening. It's wild.
You find things out in real time, so we didn't know what sort of challenges he may have. A couple of days in, we realized this kiddo can't use a fork, and he's 5 years old. And the first time that kid held a fork and ate with it, it's like we're high-fiving each other. He's proud of himself. You can't not fall in love to a degree with any kid that comes into your home, because you develop that bond with them, and you despite your best efforts, you fall in love with the kids. Anybody can do this. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be wealthy. There are resources available to you. You just have to go for it.
During an emergency, staying informed makes a critical difference in keeping you and your family safe. ReadyWake puts the power in your hands. Our customizable alert system will get you the information you need when you need it most. If disaster strikes, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Sign up today at readywake.com.
Throughout the year, Wake County Big Sweep collects tons of trash from waterways and streams in Wake County. Join us as we learn about the history of Big Sweep.
I started as the Keep America Beautiful director for Wake County in 1986, and I heard that some of my counterparts at the beach had a waterway cleanup called Beach Sweep that was connected to the International Coastal Cleanup. So I was intrigued by that, and my counterpart friend at Atlantic Beach invited us down to help clean up at their 1987 cleanup. That we decided we wanted to have a beach sweep in Wake County. And somebody said, well, you don't have beaches. Well, we knew that everything flows downstream. So our trash was flowing down to Atlantic Beach, where we picked up before. So in 1988, we had our first beach, still called Beach Sweep at that time, Beach Sweep in Wake County at I think 6 different locations, and some of those locations are still cleanup sites today. So we started cleanups and we changed the name to Big Sweep.
In 1990, there were some kids that came to me. I've always been a very big in the environment, environmentalist and whatnot, and they said, we want to start an environmental club, and I'm like, yes. And so we started the club, and we were first just doing like recycling around school. And then the first couple of big sweeps that we did were like actually at the coast. We decided we wanted to start doing it more locally. At the same time, they started doing more local big sweeps and doing the inner waterways, not just the coastal waterways.
What I liked about it was that it got people involved, not just teaching about the environment, we're actually taking action to improve the environment. You know, part of it is getting the volunteers. The other part is cleaning up the trash, collecting it, removing it from the environment. And then the third huge component is proper trash disposal and proper recycling, or proper handling if it's hazardous waste. And that's where the partners come in. Oh my gosh, because a lot of times we had so much trash and refuse, we needed help.
So it became just, the Boy Scouts got credit for doing it, and kids got community service hours for doing it. And we did it twice a year, spring and fall, and we collected amazing amounts of stuff. So just exposing these teenagers and their parents sometimes to this part of the city, that people were just amazed to realize what runs right through that section of Raleigh.
I'm really very proud of the big sweep that we've done in Wake County, and that we've kept it going consistently for 35 years. I hope in 5 years, when I'm driving on the highway and walking on trails near the water, that there's no litter there.
I've been fostering for about 6 years. One thing that really I'll always carry with me is my first placement. She was a very sweet little girl, and one day we were doing her hair in the mirror, and she wouldn't look at herself in the mirror. And I asked her to look at herself and tell me what she liked about herself, and she said she can't because she thought she was ugly. I remember being so sad because she was only 6 years old, and she already kind of had that thought in her head. And so we just started talking in the mirror every morning about what a good person she was, and how she was really good at these things, and how she was beautiful. And so I hope that she will always know that, and hopefully that made a little impact in her life. You know, when they leave, it's challenging because you go from having a routine with that child, and then they're no longer, here to have that, relationship. But ultimately, foster care is about reunification for the child. So most of the time, it's just going to be for a period in that child's life. And hopefully I'll have a meaningful impact. Even if they don't remember me, they'll have had that experience.
I love my library because I can check out books.
I love my library because I can get my very own library card.
I love my library because I can return books.
I love my library because I can do fun crafts.
I love my library because it has wheels.
The Wake County Public Library bookmobile is 32 feet long, has more than 3,000 books, and much of what you would find at any other library.
You can check out or return books, get a library card, talk to a librarian, or just browse. And it's coming to a park, museum, or place near you.
Everyone is welcome aboard, and you can even take up to 100 books home with you, with your adult permission, of course. To find out where the bookmobile is going next, visit wake.gov/bookmobile today.
I work elections because I enjoy serving my neighbors.
I work elections because I wanted to be a part of the process and see how it's all done.
I love elections because of the community aspect, seeing all your friends and neighbors.
I work elections because it's important to let my community know how important it is to let your voice be heard.
I work the election because it is fun.
To learn more about how you can work elections, visit wake.gov/elections/get-involved.
I feel like a lot of people in foster care focus on how they can provide an impact on the child, but I actually think the reverse is equally true, where the child can really provide a ton of impact on you. We've had all age ranges from newborn to 16. I think the most impactful to me was kind of the teens that we met through the process. So seeing them navigate life and the real adult challenges and being able to be there for that was incredible. And even the little things like playing basketball with them and weightlifting and showing them what positive things you can do in your life is just so rewarding in my opinion.
I would say another one of the really big rewards for us outside of just like the connection with the kids has been like the community aspect. So not only like do we feel like we are able to work in the community and make a difference in the community, but also being in kind of the foster care world has given us a community too. We never could have saw that coming. You know, we got into it for the kids, but we never expected to kind of gain a whole community from becoming foster parents.
We're back with Sheila Donaldson, Child Welfare Division Director. Sheila, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So can you start by telling us a little bit more about your background?
Sure. So I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in counseling psychology. I started out thinking I wanted to be a psychotherapist, and my first job out of grad school was in child welfare and really enjoyed that. It was not what I thought I would be doing. And so when I went to actually begin psychotherapy, I really missed the child welfare component. So I have spent almost 30 years in the helping field.
Sheila, can you tell me more about your role as the Child Welfare Division Director?
Sure. So as the director, I need to understand what is happening in child welfare and what does that mean. That, we have many programs within our division. Most often people think of child welfare as child protective services. So yes, that is a piece of it. When people see a concern in the community, they contact us to make a report of child abuse or neglect. We have those that assess the validity of those complaints. We have prevention, where we try to work with families that to bolster their strength so that it's not necessary for the children to come to our attention in a child protective services way. At times, it's not safe for children to stay in their home, and so it is necessary for us to separate them from their parents or caretakers and bring them into foster care. And lastly, we have adoption, where when reunification is no longer an option, then we move towards adoption. And within that, as my role, I need to monitor that we're following policy and law. How do I do that? I do that with data. Are we meeting our mandates that the federal government and that the state sets for us? I research best practice. What is research telling us that's most effective in the work that we do? All doing that with collaborating with community partners. That's a really big necessary piece of the work that we do. Connecting families with concrete supports in their community is important. I need to make sure my staff have the tools and skills to do their job. So managing the staff, training, what kind of supports do they need, managing our budget, making sure we're fiscally responsible, looking at the needs of this community as it's growing and what does that mean for staffing, which then translates into advocating for the community and my division with the county manager's office and the board of commissioners as we ask for expansions in our division.
Okay. And what are the biggest challenges currently facing the foster care system?
The largest one I would say right now is a lack of placements for children in foster care. Once COVID hit, a lot of foster families across the nation decided it was in their best interest to no longer do this. And so every jurisdiction across the United States lost a massive amount of foster families. And so as a result, we find ourselves looking for anyone who will take a child, which reduces our ability to match a family's strengths with a child's needs. Really wanting to make sure that the first placement is the only placement, because when we don't make that right match and on the get-go of everything, then placements disrupt. Families feel they can no longer manage this anymore. And then every time a child moves, it's another layer of trauma, which manifests into negative behaviors, which makes it harder and harder to find a place, a family for the child to accept them into their homes. In addition to that, because of this process, then you have children aging out of the system with no permanent connections.
So how does National Foster Care Month help raise awareness and support for foster children and families?
So it does two things. One is it begins to educate the community about the need for foster parents as we celebrate those that do it. It's really important that we wrap around our foster families and support them to make sure that they can continue to do this. Foster Parent Month is one time of the year, but it's something we should be doing all year. And so we like to celebrate them and highlight them and tell them how much they're appreciated and try to show them that. At the same time, educating our community as we highlight them in attempts to help those that are considering. It takes families often a while of processing this, deciding if this is something they think they can do. And so celebrating this month is another opportunity to give them the information that they might need to help them make this decision, because it is a big commitment. We do have information sessions every month with the county. So it's available to people all year. It's also on the internet. And at the same time, we have increased our efforts this month to provide more education throughout the entire county.
You mentioned, raising awareness for the program in Wake County, but can you highlight some of the positive impact foster care can have on a child's life?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. So at the very basic part, our basic needs that foster care helps children with: housing, stable housing. For many of our kids, that is not something they have experienced, or knowing that they have a continual source of food. Some children haven't had that. Safety is a big thing that foster care provides, making sure that children are safe, and being in a foster home, a consistent foster home long-term, helps children build trust again from the experiences they've had. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. Then as you move through, as children begin to experience the safety again and the knowing that this is something I can count on, then you start to see them flourish in other ways, where they begin to think more about their future. What do I want to be when I grow up? Where do I see myself? And might I want to continue education? There's many opportunities from being in foster care for different grants or scholarships to continue on with higher education or trade school, things like that. And just the ability to watch a child begin to feel safe enough to move beyond their basic needs and move beyond into wanting someone to love them and wanting to belong somewhere. For some children, that has been a luxury. And so after they've had their basic needs met, watching a child begin to allow someone to love them is pretty special.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you explain the process and requirements for becoming a foster parent?
Sure. The beginning process is to come to one of our informational meetings. As I mentioned, they're generally the second Tuesday of every month in the Swinburne Building in Raleigh. Although, as I mentioned, this month there are many places throughout the county. Then you would fill out a form to express your interest. Our staff would call you and follow up and answer any questions you might have. And if you're still interested, we'll come out and do an initial visit with you in your home and talk more and go over the next steps, which would be filling out an application, coming to a training to prepare you for licensure as a foster parent. So that is multiple weeks long in person. And then there are several additional meetings that you would have, which is called the home study. And it's really talking about who you are, where you're from, what your beliefs are, what is your culture, where are your strengths, as we use that to make sure that you're ready for this journey. And then how can we utilize your strengths to make a good match for a child who's in need.
For residents who may not be able to become foster parents, what other opportunities are there to aid with the foster system?
Sure. So we have many community members who support foster care. One example is Marbles here in the city. They have donated their space to us at the holidays so we could have a holiday party for the youth in foster care and their families that are caring for them. There are certain community groups that do book back drives, so our children who are starting the school year have all the supplies they need. We have people who are donate holiday presents to the youth. There are others who participate in different mentoring programs throughout the county. There is the Hope Center at Pullen, which is instrumental in helping our older youth. So even help communicating with the Hope Center at Pullen is a really big help for our older kids. Really not wanting to be prescriptive, because we want our community members to be creative and innovative, because our families and kids can use all the help they can get. We do have a donations unit called the COST team, and their email is cost4wake@wake.gov, who also works with community agencies who are wanting to work with us, donate things, partner. Sometimes they'll have community events, put on picnics, things like that.
If someone is interested in learning more about the foster care system and informational sessions, where can they go?
They can go to wake.gov/foster, and that'll take you to our website that has all sorts of information about what it's like to be a foster parent. There are different videos available to you, talks about the requirements. There's an email address if you just prefer to communicate by email. Additionally, all sorts of good stuff on there.
Sheila, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing more about the foster care system in Wake County.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all for this episode of Wake TV. Keep up with all the latest Wake County news by visiting us online at wake.gov/news. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube so you can always stay in the loop. We'll see you next time.